Good morning, folks. Welcome back to Adventurous Ukuleles for another ukulele live stream. I hope you're all doing well. My name's Tim. I am here in Macclesfield. We're still in lockdown, so we're still doing our live streams of a ukulele song a week. This is an adventurous ukulele stream, so I do expect that you're not absolute beginners on this rather loved and hated instrument. So I will assume a fair level of previous knowledge. Having said that, we will go through all the chords that we need, but I'll probably go through them a bit quicker than I would if I was assuming you were an absolute beginner. This morning we are going to be looking at True Colours, not by Cyndi Lauper, but done by Cyndi Lauper originally, and by many other lovely artists. I thought this was going to be a bit of an easier one this morning, after we've done a couple of trickier ones the last couple of weeks. However, we'll see how we get on. I think there are actually some tricky bits about this, even though it is a bit more strummy than we have done for the last couple of weeks. So, without further ado, let's have a listen to what we are going to learn this morning. And here we go. You with the sad eyes, don't be discouraged, though I realize it's hard to take courage in a world full of people. You can't lose sight of it when the darkness all around you makes you feel so alone. But I see your true colors shining through. See your true colors, and that's why I love you. So don't be afraid to let them show the true colors. True colors are beautiful like a rainbow. Show me a smile, don't be unhappy. Can't remember when I last saw you laughing. If this world makes you crazy and you've taken all you can bear, just call me up, because you know I'll be there. And I see your true colors shining through. I see your true colors, and that's why I love you. So don't be afraid to let them show the true colors. True colors are beautiful like a rainbow. And I see your true colors shining through. I see your true colors, and that's why I love you. So don't be afraid to let them show your true colors. True colors are shining through. True colors, and that's why I love you. Don't be afraid to let them show your true colors. True colors are beautiful like a rainbow. And we're back. Okay, that was True Colours. as done by Cyndi Lauper, and I focused on that version of the song for that arrangement. However, I have changed the key from the original by quite a long way. So we need to have a ukulele if you want to play along with this. However, other instruments are allowed if you're playing the bass or the guitar or the kazoo or the piano or anything really. If you can play a melody or you can play chords, then you can join in with this, although we will be focusing on the chords mostly. So, chordal instruments needed, and I've seen in the chat that Joe already has his hat on ready, so could do with a clean, but hats on. We don't get to wear hats anywhere else at the moment, so it's become a bit of a tradition to wear them here on the live stream. Do let me know in the chat what's going on. I can see the usual suspects are there. Good morning to you all. Somebody's already said they're not here this morning because it's the song from Trolls. Yes, it is the song from Trolls. Actually, Simon and Jacob, you were the reason we did this song originally back in Mac Music Centre's Adventurous Ukuleles Club. We did this song in a different key back then, but it was you guys that inspired me to choose it because you lent us the film Trolls and we watched it. Now, the film Trolls, it's a very uplifting, positive film about bright colours, but it does seem to tell me, it does seem to give the impression to me that sad people must be happy. It's not right to be sad. Whereas I'm a bit of a tormented soul. Tortured soul, as they sometimes say about singer-songwriters, and I have a predisposition to melancholy, and I think that being sad is okay sometimes. This song, my wife couldn't decide if it was a happy song or a sad song when I told her which song I was doing this week. It's a bit like Everybody Hurts. Some people tell me it's a really sad song. Some people tell me it's a really positive song. I favour the latter for Everybody Hurts. I think it's a really positive song about you don't have to be the only one. You're not the only one that hurts, and don't worry, your friends will look after you. This song, it doesn't say be happy. It does say show me a smile then, and don't be unhappy. But this is my mixed feelings about the Trolls film. Was it seemed to give the impression that you could fix people who are sad by making them dance, which I'm not a big fan of dancing. I find it very, very awkward. Prefer to be in the band that's letting other people dance. But anyway, I think it's a really positive song, so we're going to have a look at it. It works quite nicely on the ukulele. The reason I've changed the key from the original and from all the other versions, I haven't found the version in this particular key, is so that we can play the intro on the ukulele as you hear it in the original. In order to do that, I had to find a key that allowed me to access certain notes on the ukulele. So the key we're going to be looking at is G major / E minor. So our first chord is going to be E minor, in fact. So let's have some chords on the screen and have a look at what we're going to play. And here come the chords. I've managed to fit everything on one page this morning. It is a little bit small, but if you're on a big screen, that should be fine. If you're on a phone screen, this is going to be tough to read. So in that case, follow the link in the video description and you will find a PDF all ready to download. There is also a full score available to download. That's on 2 pages, and it's got the melody notation if you're playing a melody instrument, and the full tab for all of the song. I won't put that one on the screen except for one point in the song, which... everything you need actually to play this is on this chord sheet, apart from one section, which is I play in a slightly different way from the chords might suggest. Anyway, let's have a look at the chords. If you are already familiar with loads of these chords, then you could probably skip this bit, unless you're watching me live, in which case thank you and tough luck, you can't skip. So we're in the key of G or E minor. Those two are relatives of each other. One is the relative major of the other. So E minor is a relative minor of G major, which is the relative major of E minor. They are very closely related. They share a key signature, which means the scales of those two keys have the same notes in. They just start in a different place. It's really good to collect pairs. When you're playing chordal instruments, collect pairs of relative majors and minors. Those who've been playing for a little while will know that C major almost always has an A minor nearby. Those two are a relative major and minor. G major, the one we're doing today, its pair is E minor. And there are lots of others based on the common chords we play. We've got D major. The relative minor is B minor. Slightly less usual chord on the ukulele, but we're going to use one today. We've got F major. The relative minor is D minor. You can find, for every major chord there is a relative minor. So start collecting those pairs and get used to which chords might be in a certain key. So we're definitely going to have a G and an E minor in this song. We're going to start actually with an E minor. I often find a different way of playing an E minor. We've got the E minor add 9, personal favourite of mine. We've got the E minor 7, and we've got the E minor up here, technical term. But today we are going to play a bog standard normal E minor, which is open G, 4th fret on the C, 3rd fret on the E, 2nd fret on the A. Should also check we're in tune. G, C, E, A. Those are our open strings. Our E minor then. We're going to be using that a fair bit. It's not the easiest chord in the world, but you should be fairly familiar with it if you've been playing for a while. It's actually in our standard set of C major chords as well as being in the G major key. Then we're going to need some Ds. 3 fingers in a row on the 2nd fret on the 3 strings nearest your head. I'm almost off the screen there. Let's move over a bit. I usually play a D like that. If your fingers are very big and your ukulele is very small, then you may find it easy to play a D like this, barring all the way across the 2nd fret, little finger up on the 5th fret on the string nearest the floor. However, in this song, as often in the key of G, I will often play a D add 4, just the 2 fingers in the middle 2 strings, leaving an open G and an open A. I will often play that instead of a full D. I like chords with a little bit of an extra note in there, just get a little bit more interest. It's not the same as a D sus4, which is this one. It's a D add 4, which means we're adding a 4th in, as well as the 1st, 3rd and 5th that we normally have in a chord. Whereas a D sus4 is replacing the 3rd with a 4th. It's suspending the 4th and then usually resolving back to the 3rd. So I'm often using a D add 4. I haven't written that on the sheet because it's optional. You can play a normal D, but you'll often see me playing a D add 4 instead of a normal D. Okay, then we've got a G. Should be fairly well known. Open G, 2nd, 3rd, 2nd. Triangle shape pointing up the fretboard. There's a G9 briefly in there, and I haven't written that on the chord chart either. We need to add in a 2nd fret on the G string. I use this when I want a bit of movement in a G chord that's staying still, and I'll explain why I use it where I do. But that's a G add 9. I play it with my thumb. You can also play it with 4 fingers, or as a bar. That's the G add 9 when you see it. Then we've got C, 3rd finger, 3rd fret, string nearest the floor. I've said that a lot in my life. We've got an A minor, another nice easy one, 2nd finger, 2nd fret, string nearest your head. And then we've got the chord that's probably least familiar to some of you, a B minor. It's not a beginner's chord. There's no easy way to play it. The only way to play a true B minor is to use 4 fingers or a bar. But it is the same shape as an A minor chord. Imagine this A minor chord and imagine every string moving up 1. Oh, the open strings haven't been able to move, so I need to move them manually up. Then play the same shape as my A minor chord. 4th fret, 2nd, 2nd, 2nd. That is our B minor. However, I don't play it like that in this song. And when we get to that section, I will show you an alternative way of playing an A minor and a B minor and a C, but we'll get there. That's all the chords we need for the verse. In the chorus we have some D sus4s creeping in. We talked a bit about that already. That's a normal D, but we're taking the 3rd of the chord. In this case it's an F sharp on the E string, and we're raising it to a fourth, to a G. Suspended chord, that's the sus part of the fourth. And they almost always resolve back to the normal D. I will be often seen playing it like this, so that my normal D has now got a thumb there instead of a finger. It's much quicker to get to from a G chord, however, that's completely optional. What else have we got in the chorus? We have a B7 sneaking in. There are several ways to play a B7. We've often used this way in the past, which is the same shape as an E minor chord, but over by one string. There is a full barred version of the B7. Sounds very similar. But today we're going to be using a chord that looks like a G chord over by one string. It just gives it a bit more seventh-y feel, and I really want to emphasise that seventh-iness there. That only happens once in the song though, that B7. And that's all of the chords. We've got E minor, D, G, C, A minor, B minor, B7, and D sus4. Okay, so that's all the chords out of the way. Let's have a look at the basic structure of the song. We use an intro, which is actually a part of the song that is used in the verse, but it's not used until the end of the verse. So don't get trapped into that. There's a lot of bits that feel familiar but are slightly different in this. So the intro is four bars long. It's 2 bars repeated. We do a pattern twice, and there's a little riff that goes with that, which we'll talk about in a bit. That's printed at the bottom of your sheet, in case you want to have a look at that already. That's the trickiest part of this song, I would suggest, and it's the reason why we're in the key that we're in. Just checking the chat. Do let me know stuff going on in the chat, anything I've failed to mention or need to explain a bit more clearly. Then we have the verse, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 bars long. Nothing too fancy in there. The chords are all fairly familiar. And then we have the chorus, which is also 8 bars, well actually 9 bars long, and it goes straight back into the intro again. Thankfully on this song it is a pretty simple structure. We do intro, verse, chorus, intro, verse, chorus, intro, instrumental verse, chorus times 2, and then an intro to finish. The structure I've written at the top of the music there doesn't appear to be quite right. I've missed out some of the intros, but the overall structure of it there is correct. However, there's an intro after each chorus. Right, let's have a look at this then. Here is the intro. We're counting in 4/4. It's relatively slow, about 90 beats per minute. So 1, 2, 3, 4. That's the speed we're going at. And let's look at the chords for this intro. So here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. E minor, then a D, then a G, and then a C. Do it again. E minor, D, G, and then C. Now, the eagle-eared among you will have noticed that all of my chords were equally spaced apart from the last C. There's a bit of a wrinkle in the rhythm there. The E minor, the D and the G happen on the beat, on beat 1 and 3 and then 1 again. So we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. That last C though doesn't happen on the beat, it happens after beat 2 and before beat 3. Or if we're counting in eighth notes or quavers, it's the and. So it'll be 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. It's a very common rhythmic trick in pop music. We've done it lots of times before on this channel, but it will catch you out if you're not expecting it. So you can see that I've tried to write that in between beats 2 and 3. Do pay attention to the position of these chords. They are kept positioned quite carefully so that you can see which chords are anticipated, like that C, and which chords are on the beat. In the intro and in the verse, the first bar of each pair is always played on the beat, and the second bar has the second chord anticipated, so on the and after 2 rather than on beat 3. That's the general rule for the verse. But other than that, that intro is relatively straightforward. I'm just strumming once per chord if we're going to do a strumming version, but for the actual intro we should be playing the riff. Now this is a tricky bit, so I'm hesitant to do this early in the song, but we might as well look at it because this is the reason we're in this key. If this is too tricky for you, then by all means stick to strumming the chords as always. Choose your own challenge. Now we need to have a rather odd E minor chord to start with. I'm going to play this with my first finger on the E string on the 2nd fret, and then my 2nd finger is going to be on the C string, 4th fret, and then my 3rd finger is going to be on the A string, 5th fret. So it's a bit of a stretch if you're playing in a chord position. It's really hard to get those fingers there solidly. So move your wrist around until you can find a position that works for you. In order to get this nice and easy to play, I've moved my wrist quite low down. So I'm here and I'm arching my fingers over. When I play chords, I often have my wrist behind the ukulele, but this time my wrist is underneath the ukulele. So I'm going to start like that, and that means my little finger is free to get up to fret 6, up to here. That's the main one that will force your hand into a good position. If you can't reach fret 6 on the C string with your little finger, then you need to adjust your hand until you can do that easily. So you can hold that shape and then be able to put that one down without touching any other strings. So the intro sounds like this. Get it right? So we've got that bass line moving upwards, following the chords. E for the E minor, D, F sharp for the D major, G for the G, C for the C. You'll notice that the D doesn't have a bass note of D, it has a bass note of F sharp. It's called a first inversion, and it gives that nice progression. So the bass, it almost sounds like it's singing. It's not jumping around all over the place, it's following a nice flow. So that is that opening riff. And I'm not going to spend too long explaining how to play it because you need to practice it. However, the fingering needs a little bit of attention. On the right hand, we start with the thumb and the one of your fingers. Pick it. So thumb is going to play the C string, and then one of your fingers, probably your 1st or 2nd finger, is going to play the A string. We pinch them together, so thumb is plucking down towards the floor, finger is plucking up towards your head at the same time, and we get those two notes together. Then your 1st finger, so it's probably going to be your 2nd finger playing that 1st note, your 1st finger is going to play the string in between them. Then your thumb is going to come back down and do the G string. That's our first bit, that's our first chord. And we repeat the top, the A string after that. So that's 4 notes for each chord. Then we put our little finger down and play exactly the same pattern. The top notes are all the same, it's just the bass note that's changing. That's the one that your thumb plays to start with. So the first 4 notes, then the next 4 notes. Then we change the pattern slightly. I'm going to take my ring finger and my little finger away, and then play my thumb on the G string first. Otherwise it's the same. And then we do a strum on a C, but I'm going to keep that finger down, so it actually turns into a C add 9 chord. Ooh, that's very bright behind me. Wow, that's bright. The sun's come out. Here comes the sun, folks. Wrong song, that was last week. So that last chord is actually a C add 9, and I'm going to leave that finger there so it's easy enough to get back to that E minor chord to start with. So nice and slow, that riff sounds like this. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and... and again... You can see there's not much movement of my left hand once I've figured out where I'm going. That finger the third finger is on that 5th fret of the A string all the time. And I'm trying to be as efficient as I can about the other movements. So if you want to do that opening riff, that's how you do it. Let me know in the chat if that needs more work from me. Let's check what's going on. Wow, the camera, now that is true colours. This is a bit like finger yoga. Yes, it's a bit of a stretch, this one. I must admit, it took me a few goes before I could do this comfortably. Whenever you start filming these songs and you start doing your first take, you realise the bits that you need to practice more. So the first take is almost always not good enough. And certainly that was the case when I tried to film this bit. It's getting the thumb to start on the C string rather than the G. Took me a little bit of effort. But it is the same pattern twice. Then it changes to the thumb. It does actually start on the G. When I'm strumming that last C as well, I'm not really aiming to hit that string nearest the floor. I'm mostly interested in the E string being the last note we hear. But if you hit that top A, then it doesn't really matter because your finger's still down, it will sound okay. So that is our intro. Then it gets a bit simpler. So here is the verse. I'm going to play through it slowly and just count and say the names of the chords. 2, 3, 4. E minor. Then a D. G. G add 9. Jumping the gun there. C. 2, 3, 4. E minor. D. G. A minor. B minor, C, E minor, D, C, G. Now you should have noticed there that the second bar of each pair had that anticipated chord in the same place as the intro, so the and after 2. The first bar of each pair generally has the chords on the beat. However, you can adjust what you're playing there. So the chords aren't that hard. E minor, D, G. The G add 9 just allows me to do something different on that anticipated chord in that bar, but it's not essential. Don't feel you have to put it in. In the original song, it's a G bass B. It's a first inversion of a G chord. We can't do that very easily on a ukulele because we don't have a low enough string. So the add 9th just adds something at that point. We get a bit of movement. That's often what an inversion is used for, to move within the same chord. C, E minor, D, G, A minor and B minor and C may cause you a few issues, but we'll talk about that in a minute because there might be a better way of playing it. In terms of the rhythm that I'm playing, for the first bar I'm generally strumming once per chord. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm strumming quite gently with a little bit more of a stroke. Then for the second bar of each pair, I'm generally doing the rhythm that's marked above the chords there. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. So I'm adding another strum to the second chord on beat 4. So strumming on 1, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1, the and after 2 and beat 4. That's the rhythm pattern 1 that's written above that verse there. So try and get the hang of that. I'm using downstrokes for all of them, which means my hand is moving in an 8th note pattern overall. Even though I'm not playing most of the quavers, still want my hand to be moving, almost conducting the song in quavers, in 8th notes. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And you can see my hand counting out those quavers and then just strumming a bit harder and making contact with the strings when I want to play a note. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And that means we can easily add in more strums to build the tension, build the fullness of the bar up, without changing what our right hand is doing, really. I could play all the quavers, just emphasising those strong ones that I mentioned before, and it sounds like a lot more is going on, but my right hand is doing exactly the same thing. Consistency on right hand strumming will really help. I can't say this enough. Keep your hand moving even when it's not playing the notes. That means even in the first bar, which is ridiculously simple for rhythm, I'm still moving my hand in 8th notes. You with the silence, don't be discouraged though I realize It's hard to take courage in a world full of people. You can lose sight of it, and the darkness all around you makes you feel so small. I'm never quite sure of the words there. I sang it wrong on my recording, or I sang it how I thought it was right, and then when I looked up the words for doing the chord chart, turns out they were wrong. So how can we play that G, A minor, B minor section better? Well, I'm glad you asked. The G is fine, no problem there. The A minor is also fine, no problem there. But is there a better way we can play it to make that B minor a bit quicker? The sensation of what's going on in the song here is this ascending. In a world full of people, you can lose sight of it all. It's very an ascending line there. So it makes sense to try and match that on the ukulele, particularly when we play this as an instrumental verse later on. So that G is there. When we play the A minor normally, it actually is a lower voicing of the A minor. So can we find a higher voicing? Well, yes we can. If you know how to play a G minor, which is 0, 2, 3, 1, we can take that chord and move it up a tone from a G to an A. So there, 0, 4, 5, 3 is actually an A minor 7. We've got a G note coming through there as well. And it's not too hard to get to from a G. So there's our normal G. I'm going to keep my ring finger down on touching the string, but not pressing onto the fret. So I'm just going to keep it touching the string and move it around like that, as if it's on like a railway. The other two fingers are going to come off. So there's my G, fingers off, slide that finger up to fret 5, and then these two fingers will swap places and they come down again onto that G minor shape, which is actually an A minor this time. So that movement there is quite useful. G to A minor, G to A minor. That finger swap is useful, and keeping that ring finger on the tracks without being firmly pushed into the tracks and fretting the note is an anchor point that makes it a lot easier to play. And in actual fact, that makes our life easier for the next chord, because the B minor is just one above an A minor. Well, 2 frets or 1 tone. Same shape. It's that G minor shape again, this time on fret 6. So open, 6, 7 and 5. It's a B minor with, let me see, what is that extra note? 1, 2, 3. It's a B minor with a 6th. B minor add 6, I would say. Lovely chord. And that G note doesn't necessarily sound that great in the chord on its own, but because we're in the key of G, we keep coming back to G, and the next chord we play is a C, which also has a G in. That G will sound okay in context. So G, A minor, B minor, and then can we keep going up? Yes, we can. Back to the G major shape, but this time on fret 7, 8 and 7. So 0, 7, 8, 7. This is a C chord. Compare it with a normal C. We're using the G major shape to play a C chord. So that gives us those 4 chords in a nice ascending movement. G, A minor, B minor, C. We do the same rhythm as normal, so first 3 chords are on the beat and the last one is slightly anticipated. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Good. I'm hoping that makes sense. I find that easier to play than this. And it sounds nicer. You get a very nice build of the song. But now the trouble is, we're a long way back. We're a long way from the E minor chord that comes next. I wonder if there's a way of playing an E minor up here. Oh, yes, there is. Barring across that 7th fret, all the 3 strings nearest the floor, gives us an E minor chord. Then we can get a D by moving down 2 frets, adding in my 2nd finger to fret 6, get that right, on the C string, and I'm leaving this G string open the whole time, give a bit of kind of continuity. This is a D major, that means there's a C major just below it, 2 frets down, same shape, and then we finish on a G. So we walk up and we walk down. So that whole last 2 lines of the verse could be played like this. 2, 3, 4. G, A minor, B minor, jump to the C, E minor, D, C, G. We jump to the G at the end. Now I've gone through that fairly quickly. You could, of course, just play in a world full of people. You can lose sight of it. The darkness inside you makes you feel so small. No problem there, but I think it sounds better like this. In a world full of people, you can lose sight of it. The darkness all around you makes you feel so small. I prefer it that second way, and that's the way I've done it in the video. So choose how you'd like to do it. Those chords are not written in the chord chart to avoid confusion, and of course I've run out of space, but they are written into the full tab. So a very brief look at that. You can see those chords here. Can I select them? There, the chords underneath there, that is the tab for those ones that I've just talked about. So if you do want to learn that and you can't remember what I said and you can't be bothered watching the video back, well, of course you can download the full score, but you could also just rewind the video. Okay, let's go back to the other one. Now we're on to the chorus. This chorus has every second chord anticipated. So with the verse, we had the first bar of each pair being quite straight, and then the second bar with an anticipated chord. But this time we're going to play every second chord, jumping the gun slightly on the and after 2. So we've got a C, and then a G, D sus4, D, C, G. Let's count in properly. Do this. 1, 2, 3 and 4, and C and 2, G and 4, 3 and 4, and D sus4, D, 3, 4, C and 2 and 3 and 4, and C and then D sus4. I'm putting in an extra D there. It's still in the same rhythm of the bar, just like rhythm 1 in the verse. We'll talk about the rest of the rhythm in a minute. Then back to the C and G again. There's a lot of C's and G's. C, then we've got our B7. So we just hop that G over by 1, then to an E minor. To let them show. Back to the C and G again. True colours. C and G again. True colours. And a D sus4. Beautiful. Like a rainbow. And then as we say rainbow, we're back into the intro. Like a rainbow. Or if you're just playing the chords. Like a rainbow. That works as well. So that was the chorus very quickly. The chords are not difficult here, and the rhythm isn't anything new. We're just using that anticipated chord all the time. However, we want to have more going on than just true colours shining through a sea of true colours. So it'd be nice to have a bit more development than the verse has. The verse is quite sparse. The chorus, I want a bit more going on. So I've written down what looks like a horrendously complicated strumming pattern above that chorus. It sounds like this. Let me get this right. That is the strumming pattern that I've written there, and it allows us to emphasise the same parts as the first strumming pattern we talked about for the verse, that but we're adding in some stuff in between, filling in the gaps, as it were. So pay attention to the downs and the ups there, and you'll notice that if you watch my right hand, just the overall movement of it, my right hand is just moving down and up, down and up, down and up constantly, but it's not always connecting with the strings, just like before. So it's the same hand motion as we were doing in the verse. You were doing it in the verse, weren't you? Good. So all we need to do now is just catch the strings a little bit more often. And we do a down, then we need to do a missing up and a missing down, then we catch the strings on the way up, immediately on the down, miss the up, down, miss the up, miss the down, up, down, miss, down, miss, down. Now, it doesn't make a lot of sense to me when I do it that slowly. So let's say the downs and the ups. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and down, up, down, down, up, down, 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 up, down, up, down, down, up, down, 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 up. There's quite a lot of movement going on there. Our hand, because we're playing eighth notes on the downstrokes, that means if we include the upstrokes, 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E, and we are actually playing semi-quavers. Those are the fastest notes available to us. So if we're going to count it, it's going to be 1E and a 2, 1E and a 2E and. But we're going to play the and as a new chord. 1E and a 2E and. That's the first part. Worth practicing that a few times. Let me do the same pattern again for the rest of the bar, but it's a little bit delayed. Down, up, down, down, up, down, 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 up. If we're breaking it down into numbers, the first bit is our 1, a 2, and then the next bit is, let's have a look. The notes are grouped according to their beats. So we've got an E, which is an up, and then an and, which is a down. So E and 4 and 1, a 2 and E and 4 and. That's how you count that rhythm. However, I think you might have a better time of it just doing it by instinct. Get your hand moving consistently. Start strumming all of the ups and downs. 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and then miss out some of them. 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and let's check the chat. The most amazing rainbow just appeared outside the Flint's window. Fantastic. Beautiful like a rainbow. It's meant to rain today, so we may get some more. How are we doing on time? 10 o'clock. Yes, this is what made me realise this song wasn't really a beginner song. This strumming pattern's not something I would give to beginners. I was doing it without thinking because, trust me, if you do this enough, this kind of thing will happen automatically. I had to try and work out what strumming pattern I was playing, and in fact, I don't always use this strumming pattern. I sometimes use a slightly more complicated one. And there's actually 2 ups after that first down, but we'll have to keep it relatively simple. This is the slightly simpler version. Remember to keep your fingers flexible, allow them to stroke the strings, particularly in the way down. They need to bend out of the way, and then on the way up they have to stick out slightly and be a little bit stiffer. But always keep your fingers loose. It's a stroke, it's not a hit. So let's do the chorus slowly with that strumming pattern. I realise that might take a bit of work for you guys, but hey, this is adventurous ukuleles. You've got to be adventurous, you've got to take some risks. So here is the chorus with that full strumming pattern. 1 and 2 and 3E and 4E and 1. Shining through, I see your true colours. That's why I love you. So don't be afraid to let them show your true colours. True colours are beautiful like a rainbow. That caught me out by accident there. You've got to get ready. If you're going to play that riff, you've got to get ready for it very quickly. A couple of things I do in the chorus quite often. When we do the B7, I change the rhythm slightly. Don't be afraid to let them show. I often just follow the words. Let them show your true colours. Okay, same thing, a little bit quicker. Good. Glad you're ready for it. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and true colors shining through. I see your true colors, and that's why I love you. So don't be afraid to let them show your true colors. True colors, beautiful like a rainbow. Made the intro riff there. So that was approaching full tempo there. I'm hoping that strumming pattern makes sense. If it doesn't, though, and it's always a risk, then you can always use the strumming pattern from the verse, which is just this 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And if you keep moving your hand with those eighth notes, chances are, as you relax, you start hitting the strings in other places, and anywhere you hit the strings, as long as your hand is moving consistent like that, it will sound good. You can even strum every single eighth note. Here, see your true colours shining through. I see your true colours. It doesn't sound quite as convincing because my hand's having to work a bit harder to catch the strings every time, and we lose some of the emphasis of those dun dun. Those offbeat notes. So do yourself less work and actually just don't hit the strings a few times, and then you're pretty much close to that full strumming pattern. Right, 10:05. Are we ready to do a run through? Let's check what haven't we done in the song. We've done the intro. We've done our special riff. We've done our verse. 1, 2, 3, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 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 strum gently with that rhythm pattern 1, and then with a chorus with the rhythm pattern 2. See your true colors. I think we've covered most of the parts of this song. Structure-wise, we talked briefly. Intro with the riff, verse, chorus. Then you do the intro again, straight back into verse 2, and another chorus. Then we go back to the intro and another verse, but this time it's an instrumental verse. Cyndi Lauper does a kind of spoken word section over that third instrumental verse. I chose not to do that. I spared you that in the video. Then we do the chorus again. When we get to the chorus for that third time, when we get to that last, the last line as on the sheet, we don't do that last line. We go back to the beginning of the chorus. So we've just done, let them show your true colours. True colours are shining through. So the last but one bar of the chorus becomes the first bar again of the chorus when we repeat it. It's a little bit unusual there. So let me see if I can mark that on the page. Not sure if you'll be able to see this. This bar here becomes this bar here when we repeat it. So you jump from here all the way back to there when we repeat the chorus. Hope that makes sense. Okay, so music is always far more fun when you play it with other people. I'm hoping you've got other people in your households that you can play with, even if it's just bashing out a beat or playing the kazoo. I'm going to go and find my wife and we'll have a go at playing this for you, with you, I should add. Before I do that, my usual thing to say that this year, we've nearly done a whole year of live streams. It's mental. We started March last year, late March, and it's now February the next year. So one more month and we've done a whole year of this. Who'd have thought it? It will be half term soon. We'll do one more live stream next week. Then we're going to have a little break. And as some of you know, that we have a baby on the way in our family. And all being well, you can't make promises on these things, but all being well, we'll have a new addition to our family fairly soon after half term. So as a result, service may be interrupted. I'm not sure how much of a break from the live streams we'll do. We may rejig the format of them. So after half term, I will let you know how the live streams are going to work and when they're going to start again. There will definitely be a 1 week break. There may be more, depending on how things go. And as always, to say that musicians all over the world in the last year have had a huge amount of their jobs taken away because no one wants us to sing in front of them, apparently, because singing is dangerous. I'm spreading all sorts of aerosols right at this microphone now. And as a result, musicians have struggled for income, as many of you have as well, I'm sure, with all sorts of jobs have been affected by this pandemic. Musicians are one of those groups. So if you do enjoy these videos, either these live streams or the performance videos that I make, they're a lot of fun to do, but no one's paying me to do them except you guys. You support me to do these videos. If you like them and they've brought a smile to your face in a world, if this world makes you crazy and you've taken all you can bear, just watch one of my videos. They're not that good, but if they are helping you, then please consider supporting me to enable me to keep making them. There's a link in the description with all the details for that. There's PayPal and Patreon. Enough said. Let's go and find some musical company. Oh, she's here.
Hey.
Look at that.
Check this.
Check the tuning. Yeah, that one in a minute. There we go.
Thank you.
Put you there. We'll leave the chords on the screen. And he's sent some chat messages. You got a friend in me.
Good song.
I'm not sure what he means by that one. We have already done that one, Andy.
It's a good song.
It's a great song. I didn't do a video for it. I recorded a video. A lot of the earlier songs, I didn't do any performance videos. So maybe if the live streams pause for a bit, I might just go back and redo the videos that I never got to do. Right. Enough chatter.
Yes.
Oh, that's very kind, Joe. Thank you. Joe just said my videos were fab.
Brilliant.
A little bit smug now. Guys, it's lovely having you here. All 9 of you at the moment. There's not that many that watch us live. Spread the word if you fancy it, and then we'll see if we can get a few more people enjoying these videos. Let's play True Colours and see how we get on.
You haven't changed any chords secretly since this morning?
Not really. Did you have a go this morning?
Yep.
You did. Good.
Cool.
Sophia sometimes watches these live streams from downstairs, so she can claim that she hasn't practiced, but she has all morning. Not sure that's the case. So when we repeat the chorus, we jump from there back to there.
Okay, thank you.
Or from there back to there, however you want to think about it.
Okay, cool. Yep.
All right, guys, lovely to have you with us. Let's do this. Get ready on that awkward riff. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and... You with the sad eyes, don't be discouraged, though I realize it's hard to take courage in a world full of people. You can lose sight of it all. The darkness all around you makes you feel so small. And I see your true colors shining through. See your true colors, and that's why I love you. So don't be afraid to let them show your true colors. True colors are beautiful, like a rainbow. Show me a smile, girl. Don't be unhappy, can't remember when I last saw you laughing. If this world makes you crazy and you've taken all you can bear, just call me up because you know I'll be there. And I see your true colors shining through. I see your true colors, and that's why I love you. So don't be afraid to let them show your true colors. I see your true colors shining through. I see your true colors. That's why I love you. So don't be afraid to let them show your true colors. True colors are shining through. I see your true colors. That's why I love you. So don't be afraid to let them show your true colors. True colors are beautiful like a rainbow. Let those notes hang in the air. Beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you so much. Don't know what I'm talking about. Thank you, Sophia. That was beautiful. I thought thought that was fun. It's so much fun, guys, playing music with other people. I miss you, and I hope to see you soon. See you next week.
Bye bye.